Welcome to Awaken Your Human Design. Thank you for liking and subscribing and commenting and participating. My name is Moni and this is Danny, and we got some transits for you for this week.
We have some transits for you this week. It's going to be good.
Yeah, so January 27th through February 2nd, the sun is in gate 19 and the earth is in gate 33.
So 19 approaches and 33 remembers. Again, another, I want to say it's almost like a joint collective process, but another collective gate in the throat meets up with another motorized gate, just like what we just left.
Awesome. So here we have our view on the mandala wheel, the sun in gate 19. It's a root center gate and it's approach. And the earth is in gate 33, which is retreat, and it is a throat center gate. So very similar to what we just looked at last week.
It brings the final accounting of what took place. It voices what the prodigal experienced in its desire to say yes and enter the experience fully and wholly in the now.
So cool.
Yep.
All right. So next up, we have the gate sun in gate 19, which is approach, and the gate of waiting. That all things are interrelated is apparent through the action of approach. So this is a root gate, and it's part of tribal circuitry. And the keynote for tribal circuitry is support, and it is part of the ego circuit specifically. Gate 19 links up with gate 49, which is revolution, and the 1949 make up the channel of synthesis. So gate 19 fuels two essential human mandates, the need for resources and the need for spirit. These mandates set us up to interact and bond with others, and it's awareness of what resources are needed for everyone to survive, thrive, and achieve their personal and community potential.
And that whole community thing is so important. It's part of this tribal stream of awareness. And 19, I think it just wants. It's about wanting. It's about wanting. And then that want to approach is the want to enter into the right community. Did I bring enough stuff for the right community? 19 says, I have all this pressure. I'm going to flirt with the 49 on the other side, the synthesis. It also says that if it rejects me, I'm going to try a little different because I'm going to keep flirting. So recognize that 19 is a type of flirty energy. But the thing is, it's not just pointed at the opposite sex, for instance, or however that works for you. It's pointed at flirting with the next set of circumstances, really, the next job, the next community, the next place, wherever there's other people. It's dependent on people, and that approach is inherent, that the need for interaction is inherent, and we approach things in order to do that, is what then gets remembered in 33 with its voice of I remember. So 19 is this incredible pressure to pour out, I have this, I have that, I have wants. Do my wants line up with you? And the thing is, 19 is not aware. So this week, as this is moving through and 19 stays in the sun, recognize wants are great and stop turning them into must, now I have or don't, and therefore I'm good or not. Don't turn it into something that's bad. Just allow the want, and as yourself, the right connection show up. It wants the right connection as much as anything else, because that's where the spirit that Moni mentioned a moment ago is found. It's found in the other, with the other, shall I say.
It's interesting. Like I kind of visualize it as like almost like a handshake, like the literal, almost like tribal thing
Yes,
that you could do is like
yes,
literally like this
yeah.
desire, this adrenalized pressure to like put your hand out and like, hello, my name is, and like have the good manners and present yourself in that
And
desire to connect.
yes, and the 49 on the other side decides that it's okay to lean in and put a hug with that handshake, and maybe
Ooh.
even a kiss on either side of the cheek, because the tribal allows the neck to bear. We trust you now. You can come in. That want is for the trust of the other. Again, another huge tribal theme. Tribal has the coolest, richest themes, other than the individual circuitry. It just, I love the tribal themes. They're so good.
That's really cool. That was really
Collective's
fun.
a little fire hosey. They'll do anything.
Well,
The
it's like
tribal's got
everything.
rules. They'll do everything. The tribal's got some rules, and it's good.
Because it's got to be able to handle everything. Like every rule exists because somebody did something stupid.
Right.
Like nobody wants those rules to exist until enough people do something stupid,
Something
and now there's
stupid.
a rule about it. Like,
Right, right, right. And the enforcers of the rule come through 21 and the tribe. Absolutely.
fascinating.
So,
All right. Moving on, we have the Earth in gate 33, which is retreat and the gate of privacy. This is active withdrawal and the transformation of a weak position into strength. So, gate 33 is a throat gate, part of collective circuitry. So, collective think sharing as our keynote, and it's part of the sensing circuit. And gate 33 links up with gate 13, which is the gate of the listener. And the 3313 make up the channel of the prodigal. So
mm.
833 is retreat arises in the moment of uncertainty between the completion of an experience and a new one beginning. Pausing, allowing reflection on what to take forward while renewing your strength. It's a need for privacy joined by the collective's voice of I remember or not. When the
I love
time,
the voice of I remember. It's so good.
it's like the holder, the keeper of the stories.
Hmm.
When the time is ripe, you'll be asked to share your wisdom, and that becomes part of the greater community and humanity's evolving consciousness.
So 33 brings together the whole experiential process. Even though 56 does sit in the throat, I know I'm skipping around a little bit, but 33 is the teller of that story, right? And again, I find it so fascinating. We just left the 41 and the 31. So the 31 gets informed by the collective abstract experiential process of desire, right? Which can be anything and everything. Yet when we finally get to the accounting of it all, and the whole telling of the story and the recollection, which by the way is so needed because our history is story told, and it's story told on purpose. There's a reason for that, and the most important things in the world are the stories that get told. They're heard so much more clearly than the facts of something first. The fact. Well, these are the facts, maybe, until the story comes along and puts all those facts together. So let the one side be one, but when we get to this, the 19 then ends out of a tribal stream, ends up informing this whole process, right? With want and the want to be part of. That memory is always going to tell the story of what the tribal trust and loyalty and sensitivity to the needs and wants of support are. And it's so deep and rich. That's why the story is heard so much better, because intuitively into our genome, it's the thing that we want. You know, let the leadership be leadership. That's cool. That's sort of lower trigrammy stuff, anyways. You know, over here, it's a different story, and it goes much deeper into our psyche, very much so. Because if 19 doesn't have enough stuff, by the way, then 19 is like wretched. It's scared of everything technically. We don't want I remember to be telling stories of fear and lack, this thing. So don't fall prey to fear and lack this week. Recognize that you like to flirt with the next thing that's going to happen and or the thing. So go and be that.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you, Moni. Always pull it out.
I'm just as amazed as you are.
Yeah, yeah, we both are. It's always good. What am I going to say?
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I'm just gonna make some slides with some information and like see what comes out. So I'm
Right.
glad we get some
Both
good
of
stuff
us.
out of it. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
So Incarnation Crosses for this week. First up, we have the right angle cross of the four ways. These are people pressured by sensitivity to human and animal rights who are motivated by social and spiritual forces to provide for the basic needs of others. Then we'll move into the juxtaposition cross of need. This is people with creative direction and a deep need to create beauty in their lives, which will be enjoyed by their close circle of friends. And then
Mm.
finally, we move into the left angle cross of refinement. These are people who understand that one's proper direction, alignment, is something of great beauty, which satisfies their needs, refines their whole experience of life, and leads to the fulfillment of their purpose.
Yeah, and it's so much G center going on here, even though it's the 1933. But as it's moving into the G center, what it's about to become, it's no wonder that this falls right before the direction of past and present. I mean, past and future. Excuse me, I said that wrong. Future and the past. That's funny. Um, so these things have to lead into each other, and the four ways is literally all about refining a direction towards more beauty. Ultimately, let the past and let the future define together through a story and a set of facts how we move better towards communion and beauty. That's what the way, it's always the way into 13. So the way into 13 is approach and wanting to basically have the right collective memory that moves us towards communion and beauty. I mean, this is where our genome takes us. Our chemistry responds to getting along and having it be better and prettier. Just a period. It's just such an easy concept to understand. Every kid understands it. Every kid wants it better, you know, and they know that right away. This is better or this isn't better, right? And they don't have to go through a whole process. They just know. We need to have that knowing come back to us. A lot of reflection and contemplation here, by the way, this week, I would say.
That's really, it's really quite lovely.
What else does the four ways say to you? You know, because it's got 24 and what's the other gate in it? Uh, Whatever.
24 is 44?
24, 44. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Just do a
Like,
blank.
oh, I remembered.
So what this whole four ways, think about it. It's each one represents the way into the next quarter. It
Mhm.
represents some kind of summation of what the way was. Um, the way of the next quarter is 24, and that's returning to what did we initiate? And return and return. I think I got it. Rationale time. Oh, good. Rationale ends up as a logical process. Boom, move into all these throat gates that move into the next one as you move into the next quarter. Gate 7. Is that gate 7 next? 2. Gate
13.
2. No, 13. I'm saying as you get through that quarter of
Mm.
initiation, you enter into quarter of civilization. I think that's gate. Is that gate? That's gate 2, and then you move through that and it becomes a logical building construction process where 24 told the way of it. And then when you leave this and you move into the 33, this tells the way of the whole process that was this community building and this whole process of building up a civilization, right? Civilization is the name of the quarter. They each tell the way. 19 says it's time to start initiation, like you said, in this quarter coming up. It's time to start, and I want. So the whole process of mutating and mutation is to now want to initiate into the new thing, to rebirth. I want rebirth. That's my new resource. That's what I come with. And this tells that way.
Nice.
Yeah, that's actually, I don't even know what to make of all that, but it's really cool because that's what's happening.
Yeah.
I need to talk it out. I'll talk it out with it. If you call in and you got a gate 19, we'll find out what that exactly what that's all about. Me and you.
All right. Finally, we have our hexagrams for the week. And so the sun is in gate 19, which is approach, and it is earth over lake. So it's interesting, as ours, we have it labeled as approach, but in my I Ching book, it's as nearing, Nearing.
I love it.
Yeah. Above the lake is earth, nearing. A noble one teaches and reflects untiringly, accepts and protects the people without limit. A noble one has the inner reflective depths of the lake contained within the protective, accepting qualities of the earth. She is the one with the endless capacity to reflect, interact, and explain, to shelter and nurture people as a parent protects a child. She has the strength and maturity, and so naturally she becomes responsible.
Well, I love the fact that this one sounds more like the yin because the polarity we just left in the 41 30 31 is very
Mm-hmm.
much the yang, very much the yang. So it's just such a nice expression of how um, the lake and the water below helps inform the earth and its basic solidness above.
Yeah, that's really lovely.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery, this gate, right? I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying as much stuff as necessarily as I would even contemplate on later. Again, speaks to the whole need for contemplation.
Yeah, it's the inner desire, the ability to reflect to these inner depths. You
Yep,
know,
yep.
it's
You're reflecting for a whole quarter, of time. around the wheel.
Yeah, she is the one with an endless capacity to reflect, interact, and explain, to shelter and nurture people as a parent protects a child. She has the strength
Mm.
and maturity, and so naturally she becomes responsible.
That all things are interrelated is apparent and manifests through the action of approach. They're saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I
Yeah.
like it. It's a pretty image too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. Next up, we have the Earth in 33, which is retreat. Below heaven is the mountain, retreat. A noble one keeps at a distance from small people, not with hatred, but through respect. The mountain stands firm and still, and seems to be joined more with heaven than with earth. The noble one who retreats up the mountain shares this character. Staying close to what inspires, he is naturally distanced from what would diminish him. This happens through respect and without hostility, because to hate something is to take the ugliness you perceive into your heart.
I don't know what to make of this one. I sort of don't, because 33, I mean, I hear exactly what it said. It's just that 33 is, this retreat is a desire for loneliness in a moment until it's privacy is its other name, right? So
And
it is private first, and decoding what was just said is actually kind of intense. These guys really had it figured out. I
yeah.
mean, deeper than sometimes it even escapes me. It's like they really had language for all of this stuff. It's incredible.
Mhm. I like this line, staying close to what inspires, he is naturally distanced from what would diminish him.
Privacy, retreat, absolutely. And by the way, the retreat is just until the pressure builds and the story has now been codified, and out it comes. Out it comes. The listener heard enough. The experience was had. Out it comes. So the stories are always about the experience of what the logical process tried to perform logically.
Through respect and without hostility. Because to hate something is to take the ugliness you perceive into your heart. So it's just like, I'm just taking a step away, just taking a step away, going to let it all process through. And that which is inspiring, like I'll stay close to that, and I'm going to naturally just distance from that which diminishes. But from this place of like respect without hostility, of just like, nope, I'm not getting sucked in. I'm just going to separate.
Right, right. Because that ugly is not worth making a story on. Please don't make stories on the stuff that's not good, because it just promotes chaos.
Mhm. Yeah, and then it's just that rumination too.
Right, right. So, what do we think people should be looking at this week?
Yeah, it's some interesting things, right? Because you have it's again that root pressure to something new, some kind of new desire, right? This is this like tendril out, this handshake out, but also being grounded in the conclusion of the story, right? Like how
And
does
the
that
telling of
story
it.
work out?
Yeah.
And this in the telling of the story. So it's kind of like you're reflecting on again like the past year, the completion of this as we're like just before we're going into the new quarter of initiation. So it's
It
it's a very
really, yeah, it really speaks to not just telling the story. This is the put up or shut up time, technically. It's not just tell the story, it's a manifesting gate. It's in the throat. It's be the story as well. And start to live it. That's a choice, by the way. So this is a time to make some choices before we move into the next quarter. We just spent, like I said, almost 4 weeks figuring out what some of those parameters are. You just had another almost week of being able to dream about it and seeing what you might bump into. Now codify it. You're the prodigal. Codify that. That's what I would say.
it's
Turn it
really
into something, right? Turn it into something that, even if you don't take action on it right now, at least you now see it. It becomes in your nomenclature inside. You will start to live that out naturally. So a lot of allowance here. It's a mystical process after all, right?
it's
19.
it's interesting like registering through like it's the channel of the prodigal with the 1333, right? And
Hmm.
it's just like I don't know, I feel like it's just starting to really click because it's like I'm thinking of like the story of the prodigal son, of like the son who like left with his inheritance and like partied it up and wasted all the money, and like there's the other brother who was like good and stayed at home, and then like the prodigal son returned home from like these
Overseas
debauchery
and
and
the foreign wars and right.
yeah, going out and like spending all his inheritance, and like the father throwing the grand party because like his son is back. Like he went out and like did some stupid stuff probably, and like tripped on his face and like made some mistakes and wasted all his money, and like, but he came back, and he came back to tell the story.
Wise. Yeah, he came back with wisdom and stuff that's there. Again, it's a very finessed contemplative process because this gate of 33 says privacy, retreat, go into the thing before you let it all come out, because it's all gonna come out, by the way. So you better go in. You know, this is a time to, I guess, make concretize certain things that you want and you don't want. Yeah, because wanting is a big theme here.
Yeah, what
Codify
do
the
you want?
things, yeah, what don't you want? You know, we're in a world that's really hard. So definitely include what don't you want, you know, that's okay. And include what you do want.
Yeah, you gotta know both, and like
Yep.
we're kind of even like foreshadowing of like, okay, where has the last story led, right? Like what is your last year that you've gone on your adventures, right? And like you end up at the end of it, and like where are you? You know, like are you in a good place, you in a bad place, probably a mix of the both, and kind of having that sense of like where did your story end up, and what is
Mm.
that you want that you desire, this new approach, this 19, right? Like what do you want that story to look like after the end of the next year, now looking back on this year, and like where you ended up, where did that story end up? Like every path is going to lead somewhere, and you might not know exactly where it's going to go, but you make certain decisions, like, you know, stand to reason where you're going to end up.
It's wicked good advice. This is like, instead of all the stuff you're actually going to do, a lot of what we have to say about all this is advice because this is a contemplative time. You'll know. We don't get to know for you. You know, obviously, you'll know for yourself. So contemplate away and want to know the things you want and want to know the things you don't. It's worth quantifying. 19 pays attention to its inventory. You know, it's got to have enough stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I mean that's like the basic, right? Like you got to have enough stuff for yourself, for your tribe, for your survival, the thriving. That's like what the 19 is about. Like, you know, you got to have those ducks in a row.
yep, absolutely. So, I guess that's the advice. Contemplate and allow what you want and don't want to bubble up to the surface.
Yeah, where do you want your story to lead? Where have your stories so far led up to, and where do you want the next ones to lead? Like, what do you want to look back on, you know, after the next year?
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
we're done.
good. All right. Well, thank you, Danny, for another wonderful week
We'll,
of transits.
we'll see you in the next quarter, right?
Oh yeah, we'll see you the next one. It'll be the quarter of initiation. So thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing and sharing and commenting and all the good stuff. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.